Hey folks, my name is Coach Daryl Johnson. This little video is going to outline one of what I call my superpowers. I put together a video the other day talking about the things that, as in my career, I've been really successful at, the things my superpowers would be considered. Obviously, as we have strengths and weaknesses. There's things we're not good at. For example, my handwriting is very, very bad, and it's definitely not my superpower. But one of the things that I'm really good at doing is bringing people to a level of fitness in a short amount of time without having to do complicated things. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Today, I'm talking about my other superpower, and that is to bring people into a confident state of being where they're not afraid to take chances, where they feel good about themselves. Specifically, today's about kids. I'm going to spend a lot of time this year working on mentoring kids, bringing them up from wherever they are to a level of strong self-esteem through actual achievement. I don't believe in building paper tigers through participation trophies and ribbons for every little thing. That's just not how I do things. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories today. So maybe illustrate why this is important to me and how it can happen for your kids too. So the first story, well, actually, I guess it's all the same story, just different chapters. Is I was in grade school. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and when I was a kid, we moved around all the time. So I never had a lot of stability in school. I never really had a lot of long-term friends. I was always the new kid. I was really overweight. For that era, and by today's standards, I was just chubby, but I was a fat kid. I was incredibly painfully shy, and people who know me now have a hard time believing these things because now I teach fitness. I teach people how to get in shape. I'm relatively outgoing. I talk to people. I've done presentations in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people. It doesn't bother me. I'm really confident about that now, but it wasn't always that way. Anyway, so this time in school, we're in class, and the teacher says, "Hey, we're going to be doing a play. Would anybody like to be involved in this play?" Now, everybody else seemed really excited about this, so I'm like, "Well, I've never been in a play. Everybody seems to be having a good time, so sure, I'll do this." And so in this play, I don't remember what it was about. All I know is I had one line, and it was something about a peanut butter sandwich. I had one line in the whole play. So I remember we're doing the play. It's at the auditorium. The audience is out there. You can't really see them well because the lights are on the stage. And I remember it was my cue, and I remember walking out, walking on stage, and I had one line, and the person I was supposed to speak to was over to my right. And I remember looking out there and seeing these people, and everybody was looking right at me because it was my turn. I mean, I was the one up, and I was so petrified and so scared, I literally couldn't speak my single line, just one line, couldn't say it. I froze up, and I just remember just standing there, looking around, looking at the other actors, the kids on stage, looking at the audience. Everybody's looking at me, and I was so embarrassed. I was so scared. With this stage fright hit me. I wasn't expecting it because I'd never been on stage before. And it was like, I can remember it like it was yesterday, how everybody's staring at me. I mean, they weren't hostile, but they're waiting for me to say what I had to say. They were waiting for me, and I blew it. And I remember the teacher had to read the line off stage and went on to the next part. And I remember, leaving the stage, and I was like, man, I never ever want people to stare at me again. I never ever want to be the center of attention like that again. It was horrifying to me. And the number one fear people have is public speaking. And fear of death is like second or third. And I understood that at this moment in time. This became really clear to me. I'm like, okay, so I get this. So that moved on, and I never ever volunteered for anything like that again. I had my circle of friends. We were close. We played Dungeons and Dragons, and we were geeky. We were into that kind of the zone. But I never did drama. I hated team sports because I was the fat kid that would drop the ball or wouldn't make the catch. Or I couldn't tackle the guy, or I was in the wrong position. So I absolutely hated anything involving a team. I actually hated anything where I had to perform in front of class. We would do in school. We had to go do oral reports. Hated that stuff. Terrified me. So that was something that I think it's not unusual. I think a lot of kids, a lot of adults have this issue too. But I'll never remember that school play. I was the fat, introverted kid, and I was scared to death. I was so scared I couldn't say a single line for this play. Anyway, so fast forward many years, and I remember as I was doing I was a white belt in Taekwondo. I just started martial arts. I was barely 18, and I'm out there. And the thing about martial arts testing is even though you're in front of people, you're doing your thing, you're doing your moves, or you're working with a partner. So you're not talking to the crowd, you're not speaking to the audience. So it wasn't as bad. But I remember I had this down. I was doing my test as a white belt, going for, I think it was orange or yellow, whatever the second rank was. And I remember did my stuff. I'm standing up there in line, attention stance, and we had a panel of judges. There's probably 7 or 8 people out on the judging table. And I remember one of the judges, and it wasn't from our school. It was a guest judge from the school. He looks at me and he says, "Mr. Johnson." I'm like, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Have you ever done martial arts or trained before?" I'm like, "No, sir, I have not." And it made me feel really good, because what that means is like there was I would demonstrate some level of ability that looked above and beyond what the average person with a couple months of training would do. So, but the things I remember, not only was I feeling good because obviously I did a good job on presenting my material, but I remember looking at the judges, making eye contact with that individual, asking me questions, and I wasn't scared. I was like, I got this. I know I can do good at this stuff. This is something I'm confident in. And one of the biggest things that helped me was the martial arts school was probably the first time in my life I was in what I would consider a positive peer environment. I grew up in a lot of kind of rough places, and most people who hung out with you always had to wonder what their real motive was. Are they really your friend, or they did want something from you, or are they going to rip you off? And I had friends that would steal stuff from me. I guess it wouldn't be friends. But this episode, this testing in front of this panel of judges, black belts, people that I thought they were like superheroes. I'm a young adult, 18, barely 18, and I will never forget the confidence that I felt that day of making eye contact and doing my stuff, and going from the fat, introverted, scared kid to the confident, fit guy who's not afraid to take risks, who get up there and do martial arts and is not afraid to, challenge himself. So that is the kind of power and empowerment I want to bring to kids I mentor and work with, that I teach in the martial arts, and I've been doing it for many years. I have several people who have made black belt underneath me, or expert level, or instructor level, whatever the case is, and they now feel that, and that is an amazing gift that I want to share. But you have to sometimes be ready for that. So that's my story, guys. If you have any questions, I'll have a couple more stories. I really want to share some of this. This is a powerful thing for me. Something I've always wanted to do. I mean, I do it in martial arts. I teach kids, but I want to take it further. So I'm looking forward to this next chapter. I hope you are too. I'll talk to you soon.